And we're back, and our brave hero is still on the curbside. Possibly falling asleep. Tears were burning my eyes unbearably. I curled up and started rolling in the grass. Same? Why? What did I do? Why me? But my cries were only heard by the speechless statues of the pioneers and a bird on a tree, which immediately flapped its wings and took off, crying out something in its own bird language, as if laughing at the idiot who dared to interrupt its after-dinner nap. The birds outside my house are hella loud right now, so if you can hear them. I was left breathless from weeping and just lay quietly, sobbing occasionally. I mean, I get it's a tough situation, kid, but after a while I managed to pull myself together. My mind cleared up a bit, as if terror and the fear of death gave me a little break. All in all, if someone wanted to kill me, what is all this for? It doesn't look like an experiment either. If this is just some crazy coincidence, then there's probably no threat. Anyway, for now it seems there's no danger. The panic was soon gone. Of course, the blood was still pounding in my temples, and my hands were still shaking, but at least I could think clearly now. Right now, there is nothing I can really change anyway. So no matter how much I think or how mad I get, it would only make things worse. Until some actual facts appear, there is really no point in making guesses. In any case, I won't learn anything by lounging about here. This camp, if of course it really is a camp, looked like the only place where people could be, so I decided to go there, and hardly had I reached the gates when a girl came out from behind them. Whoa. Wearing a pioneer uniform. My logic didn't let me down this time. Then again, a pioneer uniform in the 21st century. And then again, a girl here. I froze, unable to take a step. I felt very much like running away. Running as far away as I could from this place, far from this bus, gates, statues, and far from this bloody bird with its siesta. Just running, free like the wind, faster and faster, waving to the planets passing by, winking at the galaxies. Man, I thought I was antisocial. Running, becoming a pulsar ray, and turning into a vestigial radiation, running to face the unknown. Run no matter what, as long as it is... What happened there? No idea. As long as it is far away from this place, I guess. Meanwhile, the girl came closer and smiled. I could not help but notice her beauty, even though I was trembling with fear. Human instincts work independent of consciousness, and while only 5% of the brain is responsible for cognitive processes, the remaining 95% are always busy sustaining life, and in particular, ensuring stable functioning of the hormonal system. I desperately wanted to get less complicated and stop thinking in formal quotes from an encyclopedia, though my thoughts appeared one by one, being stupid, out of place, as if taken from an internal monologue of the hero of some junky softcover crime fiction book. A pretty Slavic face, long braids that looked like 2 armfuls of fresh hay, and blue eyes you could drown in. Hi, you must have just arrived. Yeah, don't be a wuss. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. She smiled broadly. Strange, It looked as if I had just a normal girl in front of me. Bah, I shouldn't have returned here. The woods and fields seem better. Bah. But what shall I do next? Try to speak with her as if she was a human, or run away, or what? The blood was pumping unbearably in my head, tearing it apart from the... Dude! A little bit more and the poor pioneer girl would be splattered with the gruesome contents of my skull. You know how to charm the ladies. What's so funny about that? The girl looked me over. It sent shivers down my spine, and my knees started to tremble. Nothing. Great then. Great? What's so great about that? Suddenly a thought crossed my mind. To hell with it all. Forget about the bus behind me, the fact that it was winter yesterday and summer today. I wanted to rip off my itchy sweater and just accept that all this is actually happening. Everything is as it should be. All this is for the best. Would you happen to know? You should go to our camp leader. She'll tell you everything. Look, you go straight ahead to the square, then turn left. You'll see several small cabins. She pointed at the gates, as if I knew what was behind them. Dmitrievna is a patronymic, a derivative of a person's father's name, in this case Dmitri, put by Russians after the person's first name as a sign of respect or formal address. Well, you can ask someone where Olga Dmitrievna cabin, that. Got it? Of course I didn't. Well, I've got to go now. The girl waved her hand at me and disappeared through the gates. It seemed as if to her, I was something ordinary. And all this show with the bus and the travels while awake or asleep were troubling only to me, while everything here is just the way it is supposed to be. Camp leader, pioneer uniform. What are they doing, a historical reenactment here? I hope I won't find Lenin standing atop an armored car in this square. But even that would not surprise me right now. After standing alone for a while, I headed into the camp. A mere 50 meters ahead, a small one-story house popped up on the left side. The sign near the door said clubs. I was about to come closer when the door suddenly opened and a short girl wearing a pioneer... I swear I can read. Her pretty face gave me the impression of one suffering for the fate of the whole of mankind with a truly universal sorrow. Well, that's one way to put it. As soon as she saw me, the girl froze as if frightened. I froze too, considering what was the best to do. To approach first or wait until she showed some initiative. Or maybe run away after all. Although this last option was constantly being suggested only by my self-preservation instinct. Not the worst human instinct, but far from the most logical. If this instinct played poker against deductive abilities, the outcome would be predetermined. And those homeboy, get to the point. And those deductive abilities were hinting to me that there was no need to be afraid of this girl, really. Wow, you're a smart one. Suddenly somebody jumped out of the nearby bushes. A girl wearing a bright red t-shirt with USSR written on it. Such a perfect reproduction of the age. She looked quite short from a distance and was probably younger than both pioneer girls, the one at the gates and this girl at the door of the clubs. At last I decided to come closer, but the USSR jumped towards the first girl and started telling her something while wildly waving her arms. The other girl in turn seemed confused and lowered her gaze, remaining silent. I would have probably continued to observe their amusing dialogue, but the USSR suddenly pulled something out of her pocket and started waving it in front of the first girl's face. This something turned out to be a grasshopper. That's frightening. E. The first girl squealed. She must not be too keen on insects. As she instantly rushed off towards the place where Lenin presumably made a speech about the workers' and peasants' revolution. That is to say, towards the square. The USSR glanced at me, grinned playfully, and dashed after her. Not a bad start to the day. I have absolutely no clue where I am. Besides that, there are some kids here role-playing as pioneers. And as far as I can tell, this place is located thousands of kilometers away from my home. It might even be a different reality. And this was indeed a reality. I mean, everything around me seemed so real that I was starting to think that in fact my previous life could have been just a dream. And what am I supposed to do now? I was picking at the cracked paving stones with my shoe and stared aimlessly at the club's building. Just a few more seconds before I have to come up with some decision. That's when I recalled myself rolling on the grass, weeping. Fun times. I cringed in disgust. Perhaps it's another instinct. When all energy for whimpering and self-pitying is used up, the body either goes into hibernation or mobilizes its reserves. Mine seemed to have chosen the second option because out of the blue I found the determination to figure out what was going on. And in order to do that, I had to act like a man, like a human, to maintain the dignity of a representative of my own world. I followed the path to the left, on the right side of which stood small cabins, apparently the homes of local pioneers. Actually, they looked quite cozy from the outside. Even though I was born in the Soviet Union, I had never been part of its children's organizations, neither the pioneers nor even the younger October children. I imagined the daily life of a typical pioneer camp a bit differently. Huge barracks with long rows of metal bunks, wake-up call at 6 o'clock played by a siren, 1 minute to make your bed, and then joining the formation at the drill square. Or wait, could I be confusing it with something else? Suddenly something struck me on the back. I staggered but remained on my feet, turned around and prepared to fight heroically for my life. That face. But all I found was another girl standing before me. My mouth hung open in surprise. Pick your jaw up off the ground. I closed my mouth. The same pioneer uniform, but the way she was wearing it looked, let's say, provocative. Oh yeah, the Britney Spears look. Like all the girls I had met before here, this one was rather cute, but her overly arrogant expression killed any desire to get to know her better. You here, are you? Fine. See ya. She threw a threatening glance at me and walked back. That is not threatening. I waited for the pioneer girl to turn at the corner. Who knows what else she might have been up to. The most interesting thing was that even this hostile girl seemed completely normal to me. She did not give off the feeling of some deadly danger. Except maybe the danger of getting punched in the nose. Huh. At last, I managed to make it to the square. There was no Lenin on an armored car, although one could easily expect something like that after all this had happened. Instead, however, a monument to a certain comrade towered in the middle of the square. The letters on the pedestal read, Genda. Must be some big figure in the party. There were some small benches to the sides. It's quite pleasant here. Where did that girl tell me to go? To the left? To the right? To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. And why am I going there anyway? Alright, I've decided to pretend to be normal. So to the right. It was totally to the left. through a small grove. I came out at a pier. I must have taken a wrong turn. Hey, wrong way. I turned towards the voice. That first girl stood before me. Now, what did I tell you? Take a left at the square, wasn't it? She had changed from her pioneer uniform into a bikini. Oh, I still haven't introduced myself. My name is Slavia. Slavia. Actually, my full name's Slavyana, but everyone calls me Slavia. So you can too. I'll mispronounce it either way. I still felt a bit confused, so I could not come up with more meaningful answers. And what's your name? It felt like she could see right through me. Semyon. Nice to meet you, Semyon. Alright, I'm almost done here. Could you wait here a minute? I'm going to change and we'll go to Olga Dmitrievna together, agreed? Agreed. After this exchange, she ran off. I sat on the pier and let my feet hang into the water. I was wearing heavy winter boots, but in such weather there was nothing wrong in getting my feet wet. Furthermore, it let me cool myself a little. Looking at the river, I was brainstorming and processing everything that had happened. If this is some kind of conspiracy, it's a weird one, even too friendly at times. No, it really looks more like a random event. Some entirely incomprehensible random event. Shall we go? Slavia was standing beside me, dressed in the pioneer uniform again. Let's go. I've been here for a very short time, but of all the people I've met, she looks the least suspicious. However, this fact is already suspicious itself. We walked to the square. The USSR girl and the girl who hit me on the back were there chasing each other. Is that some kind of game they're playing? Uliana, enough running. I'll tell everything to Olga Dmitrievna. Aye aye, Captain. I decided not to question Slavia for a while about what was going on or the local residents. Better meet with this mysterious Olga Dmitrievna first. Sounds like she's the boss here. We walked past the rows of almost identical cabins, some of which looked like fat beer barrels while others looked more like household sheds. Finally, Slavia stopped in front of a smallish, one-story cabin. It looked like an artist's painting. The faded paint, chipping here and there with age, It looked like an artist's painting. The faded paint, chipping here and there with age, was sparkling in the sun. The window shutters, slightly ajar, were swaying almost unnoticeably in the wind, and huge lilac bushes were growing at the sides. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorable. It seemed as if this ramshackle hut was drowning in a storm of purple silk, and the lilacs, like some elemental force, were inexorable. It seemed that What are you standing around for? Let's go. Slavia snapped me out of my daydreaming. Stop teasing Lena already. Rena? Sounds like there's someone inside. Indeed, a moment later the door swung open and Ulyana ran out and dashed past with the same mischievous grin. The pigtailed girl came out next. Don't let it bother you, Lena. So her name is Lena? Lena? Gotta be thankful it's not Rena, at least. But I don't. Instead of finishing her sentence, she blushed and quickly headed towards the square. For some reason, I felt like turning and following her with my eyes, but Slavia said, "Come." We entered the cabin. Inside it looked something similar to what I'd imagined. 2 beds, a table, a couple of chairs, a simple carpet on the floor, a wardrobe. Nothing special, but at the same time it felt home-like and cozy, although this room was almost in the same state of disorder as my own flat. The girl standing near the window appeared to be about 25 years old. Nature had obviously gifted her with a pretty face and a good body. At least one thing can keep you happy in this pandemonium: the locals are beautiful. You're finally here. Excellent. My name is Olga Dmitrievna. I'm the camp leader. Nice to meet you. I'm Semyon. I decided to talk as if I wasn't surprised by anything that was going on. She came closer. We've been expecting you since early morning. You've been expecting me? Yes, of course. And when does the next bus come? And why do you need it? Yeah, right. Why would I need it? Guess I shouldn't ask direct questions. The people here may react to them quite unlike how I'd prefer. And I doubt I'd get any answers. No reason. Just curious. By the way, where are we exactly? Our mailing address, I mean. I wanted to send a letter to my parents to tell them I got here fine. For some reason, I had the desperate idea that if I played along, I would find something out. Oh, but your parents called just half an hour ago, sent their regards to you. Now that's a surprise. So can I call them? Cause I forgot to tell them something before I left. No. Look at that face. That face says it ain't gonna happen. She gave me a sweet, spontaneous smile. I wouldn't call it sweet. Why not? We don't have a phone here. Then how could my parents make a call to here? I've just come back from the district's central town. I talked with them there. So that's how it is. And can I somehow get to the town? No. She kept the same smile. Why not? Because the next bus only comes in a week. I decided not to inquire how the troop leader managed to get there and back. I would get no answer anyway. All this time, Slavia was standing next to me and seemed to find nothing odd in our conversation. Oh, we need to find a uniform for you. I've got absolutely no desire to put on pioneer shorts or to wear the ridiculous red neckerchief. However, wearing winter clothes in summer isn't a great idea either. Yeah. Right, thank you. I wonder if I'm the only one here who finds it strange that someone's wearing a coat and winter boots in such heat. Rightio, I'll be off then and you can get yourself acquainted with the camp. Don't forget to come to dinner in the evening. Having said that, she walked out of the cabin. No, walked is not the right word. She rushed out. I ended up alone with Slavia. I must go too. Got things to do. Take a walk, look around the camp a bit. See you in the evening. If there is no threat or catch to this, then this reality, as embodied by Slavia, becomes more and more appealing. For the first time today I realized that it was awfully hot here, although obviously my winter clothes were to blame for that. I took off my coat and dropped into the bed. My pullover followed it. I was now wearing only the shirt. That's so much better. All I could do now was follow their advice and go look around the camp. I'll try to find something out in the meantime. Okay, speaking of hot, I am miserably hot right now. So I can't have my fan on because my mic picks up way too much of the wind. And like I mentioned in the previous episode, I live in Texas where we truly do have an everlasting summer. It's springtime, right? We're May 15th when I'm recording this, but oh my goodness, I cannot explain to you how miserable I am right now. So I'm gonna leave it right here, and if you watched and enjoyed, leave a like or a comment or leave an emoji. I don't care, just leave something. I'll see you guys next time.